Let's fucking go.
Wolverine. Enough said. On tonight's episode of Randall's Comics and You Know. Good evening and welcome to the episode of Randall's Comics and You Know. Hope everyone's having a wonderful midweek, and welcome to tonight's episode. And as I'm recording this, it's actually the first Saturday of the month has already passed. I hope everybody it was free comic book day. Hope everybody went out to their local comic book shop, supported the local comic book shop, and picked up a free comic book. And on that note, let's look at the little history of the first comic book day. This event was proposed by Joe Field in August 2001 issue of Comics and Games Retailer Magazine, and Free Comic Book Day was launched in 2002, coordinated by the industry's single larger distributor, Diamond Comic Distributors. So, hope everybody got out and got their comic book and supported the local comic shop. And as for tonight's episode, oh, also, if you like the content I'm bringing you, please smash that like and subscribe button. All right, and on that note, let's get into tonight's episode, shall we? Tonight we're going to focus on Wolverine. I know I did a series on Wolverine before, but I kind of want to go into the just the particulars of Wolverine and how he is really kind of just transcended and become this, pretty much, icon that he is today. Wolverine, birth name James Howlett, alias Logan and Weapon X, is a fictional character appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics, often associated with the X-Men. He is a mutant with animal keen senses, enhanced physical capabilities, a powerful regenerative ability known as healing factor, a skeleton reinforced with the unbreakable fictional metal adamantium, significantly delayed aging and a prolonged lifespan, and 3 retractable claws in each hand. In addition to the X-Men, Wolverine has been depicted as a member of X-Force, Alpha Flight, and the Fantastic Four, and the Avengers. The common depiction of Wolverine is multifaceted. He is portrayed at once as a gruff loner, susceptible to animalistic berserker rages, being an incredibly knowledgeable and intelligent polyglot, whatever polyglot is. Anyway, strategist, martial artist, partially due to his extended lifespan and expansive lived experiences. He has been featured in comic books, films, animation, and video games. And of course, we all know that Hugh Jackman is the perennial Wolverine character. I think Hugh Jackman was pretty much made for that role as Wolverine. I think we can all agree on that one. So sometimes it's better to wait on the actor. Okay. The character first appeared in the last panel of The Incredible Hulk number 180, before having a larger role in 181, cover dated November 1974 in the Bronze Age of comic books. He was created by writer Len Wein and Marvel art director John Romita Sr. Romita designed the character's costume, but the character was first drawn for publication by Herb Trimpe. Since 2017, Marvel editor-in-chief Roy Thomas also claimed co-creator credit. Wolverine then joined a revamped version of the superhero team, the X-Men, writer Chris Claremont, artist Dave Cockrum, and artist-writer John Byron played significant roles in the character development. In 1979, Wolverine featured in his first solo story published in Marvel Comics 335. Wow, look at Conan being all berserker. I guess we can say that's where Wolverine got his berserker rage from. His position as a standalone character further advanced when artist Frank Miller collaborated with Claremont to revive Wolverine with a four-part miniseries. Of course, that four-part classic Wolverine miniseries. We all know and love. Man. Wolverine is typical of the many tough anti-heroes that emerged in American popular culture after the Vietnam War. His willingness to use deadly force and his brooding loner nature became standard characteristics for comic book antiheroes by the end of the 1980s. As a result, the character became a fan favorite of the increasingly popular X-Men franchise and has been featured in his own solo Wolverine comic book series since 1988. And of course, like I said, besides the solo series, the Wolverine movies, you know, and that's pretty much, as far as, do you think Wolverine is taking on, he started off as just pretty much, maybe like an afterthought. And, since then, this comic book character has taken on a life of its own. I featured Wolverine earlier um, in my first series. Like I said, I had maybe about 3 or 4 months ago. I had a series of my own collection of Wolverine comics. Expanded. Wolverine, Weapon X, just standalone like crossovers. Marvel Comics presents, and it pretty much I want to showcase this ability for Wolverine to pretty much I want to say he's crossed over, but he's become this icon, like like Superman, like Batman, Spider Man, you know, um, just this character that's taken on a life of its own, and when they I don't know, do you think I don't know, sometimes you can start a character and sometimes an artist or writer they can start a character. But when that character pretty much takes on a life of its own, and sometimes it has to be what they call that the zeitgeist, where the culture at the time has to be receptive of the character um, that the artist or just take it and just run with it. And sometimes like lightning in a bottle. You really can't. You can't bottle that. You can't. You can't sell a course on how to make a comic book character or do an investment or build a business. I mean, you can do like pretty much the archetype, but as far as sometimes the conditions have to be right for character, for business, for stock, for anything, just to take off like Wolverine has. And for him to have just have started on just a few panels in a magazine, you know, to becoming what he is today. I mean, I don't, if you would have probably asked the creators and the artists back then, do you think this character is going to be this popular? I'm pretty sure they probably would have said, they had no idea because he has taken on a life of his own, and from just I know just the attitude, the character fit, befitting the times that we live in today. He can just go from berserker to like a father figure. We did see that in the movie when he took on the young girl in this in the movie Logan. He's like I said, he's very multifaceted. And I'm pretty sure, and the writers have evolved the character as the years have passed. And, you know, and like I said, he's one of my favorite characters, which is why, I have so much, as you can see in this presentation that I know of my previous, of my previous presentation of Wolverine. But that brings us to tonight's, and I'm going to bring you a copy that I got on Whatnot of Wolverine. Let's take a look at it on this night's episode of All right, and welcome back to tonight's episode of And you know what I got from Whatnot? This classic. Let's pan the camera down, shall we? So I can pan it up. John Byrne cover of Wolverine, issue number, look at that, number 17. I got this from Good Apple Comics. And I think I spent when I saw that this John Byrne cover. I said, you know what, that icon, you know, there's few covers that grab and this is one of them, in my opinion. You know, there's of course, there's a classic Hulk. You know, so there's been Hulk standing. I mean, Wolverine standing next to Hulk smoking a cigar. You know, but this one right here, this one really grabbed me, and I said, you know what, I gotta have it. And yeah. So what do you think? Do you think Wolverine, you know, he's more than just your friendly neighborhood mutant. He's taken on a life of its own, and and with that, so many other writers and artists, they've taken the character, they've explored what they can do with the character, which is a good thing. And yeah, so like I said, I'm really happy with my issue 17. You know, I'm not sending it off to get graded, but I'm just gonna keep it, bagged and boarded. But yeah, what do you think? Do you think Wolverine is, pretty much, he's one of those characters like, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, it's pretty much, enough said, once you hear that name, you know already. So thank you for joining me for tonight's comics. And if you like what I've brought you, please smash that like and subscribe button below. And uh, by the time you're seeing this, comic book days passed, and May the 4th be with you has passed, and also Cinco de Mayo has passed. So I hope you enjoyed all three of those uh, somewhat holidays. And like we like to say on this channel, peace. And this time we're not going to say with some fish grease, we're going to say, May the 4th be with you. All right. You guys take care.